Welcome to my podcast, Life with Denise, sharing inspiring conversations and heartfelt wisdom. Follow online at denisepettit.com, YouTube at Denise Pettit, and Instagram at Denise Pettit. My time with Elvis. Let me tell you about it. In early to mid-1960s, the world was changing and music was reflecting that change. Rock and roll had emerged on the scene, and at the center of attention was the king of rock and roll. And of course, that was none other than Elvis Presley. One day, me, my dad, mom, and sister decided to take a drive from Birmingham to visit the home of Elvis, which was known as Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. We were hoping to possibly catch a glimpse of Elvis. We'd heard that he would exit his house and drive to the local theater to meet an invited audience of close friends to watch a movie. He had to do this late in the evening due to his increased popularity, so he could be protected from all the people that wanted to touch him, or, as most girls wanted to do, even try to kiss him. We arrived at Graceland about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and there was a crowd assembled, a big crowd, a lot of chit-chat, excitement in the crowd. Everyone was anxiously awaiting Elvis's arrival. The crowd was looking around, laughing, singing, chanting, just bulging with excitement. Well, the time passed slowly, and with each new hour, hopes of seeing Elvis began to fade. People began to leave. The crowd dwindled. And finally, at 2 o'clock in the morning, after 10 hours of waiting, everyone had given up and had gone on home, except 3 girls with cute poodle skirts, bobby socks, and beehive hairdos, and me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. We were all still waiting. Finally, the front door of the house opened, and we saw 2 men come out. We saw a large man and another man get quickly into a car. The car began the long descent down the driveway. The 3 girls started screaming and jumping up and down and just going nuts. I had happened to wander to the end of the driveway where the road met the driveway, all alone past everyone. The car had to stop right where I was standing before turning onto the main road. My heart pounded. The rush of adrenaline was high. As the car stopped, the window rolled down, and there he was, Elvis. I thought to myself, this is it. This is the moment. He's going to ask me to marry him. We had a quick conversation. The window went up and the car drove away. Now, I don't know why I thought he was going to ask me to marry him. I was only 9 years old. I began to rationalize that I was wearing ankle socks and not a better dress. So many times when I tell this story, people ask me, what did he say? And you know something? I don't remember. I just remember how handsome he was, how sweet and kind. This is a great memory that I treasure. I've relived it so many times in my memory. I also realize that this story is about people we put on pedestals and about the kind of fearless, wide-open believing that most of us slowly, quietly lose. Let's talk about that pedestal for a moment, because we all have one. Maybe it's a celebrity, maybe it's an athlete, maybe it's a musician, a famous preacher, a politician, or a social media influencer with 1 million followers. We watch them, we follow them, we hang on their words, we measure ourselves against their highlight reels. And somewhere in that process, quietly, almost without noticing, we hand over a little piece of our own sense of worth and possibility. Here's what I've learned. Famous people are just people. Elvis was so extraordinarily talented. His voice, his performance, his good looks. He was charming and kind, and I can tell you that from a personal experience. But I also believe he was a man who struggled deeply, a man who was lonely inside the very fame that everyone envied, a man who by many accounts would have traded some of that celebrity just to walk into a diner without being mobbed. The pedestal that we built for him, he never asked for it, and in many ways it crushed him. We've seen this story repeat itself throughout history, and we keep being surprised by it. The celebrity we adored turned out to be deeply flawed. The influencer we followed for life advice is falling apart behind the camera. The athlete we put on a poster turns out to be human, wonderfully, messily, heartbreakingly human. And every single time it happens, we act shocked. Maybe the problem was never them. Maybe the problem is what we're looking for in the first place. When we put another person on a pedestal, we're often looking for something we've stopped believing we can find in ourselves or in God. We outsource our wonder. We rent our inspiration from someone else's life instead of finding it in our own. That's a quiet kind of tragedy. There's one pedestal worth building, and it isn't for any person who walks on the earth. Proverbs 16:9 reminds us that in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Not Elvis, not any celebrity, not any person whose name trends on social media. The one who actually orders our path, that's where our awe belongs. We drove to Memphis planning to see Elvis from a distance, just a glimpse. That was the plan, but something happened between the crowd and the end of the driveway. Nobody planned for a 9-year-old girl to wander just far enough ahead to be the one that was standing right where the car had to stop. That wasn't a strategy that was planned. Maybe it was a divine appointment. I don't know. But a divine appointment doesn't announce itself. It doesn't give you a heads up. It just happens in the gap between where everyone else is standing and where you wandered off to. But here's the part I keep coming back to most. I didn't think, oh, maybe he'll talk to me. I didn't think, wouldn't it be nice if? No, I thought, this is my moment. He's going to ask me to marry him. No hesitation. A child doesn't talk herself out of the best possible outcome. She doesn't say, well, realistically, he's Elvis and I'm just a kid from the crowd, so probably nothing significant is going to happen here. She just believes, openly, completely, without embarrassment. Somewhere along the way, for most of us, that stops. Do you remember when you lost it? That wide-eyed wonder, the unguarded hope. Most of us can't pinpoint the exact moment. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small surrenders. The dream you stopped mentioning because people didn't respond the way you hoped. The prayer you quietly stopped praying because the answer didn't come the way you expected. The wish you swallowed because somewhere along the way, you decided that wishing was for children, and you were too old, too experienced, too acquainted with disappointment to go back there again. We sometimes call that maturity. We call it being realistic. We dress it up in responsible, grown-up language. But sometimes, if we're honest, it isn't wisdom at all. It's just a wound that never fully healed. It's the heart that got hurt one too many times and decided that expecting less was safer than believing for more. Here's the cost of that. When we stop expecting wonder, we stop noticing it. When we stop believing that something extraordinary could happen today, we stop being available for it. We go through the motions. We stay in the middle of the crowd. We leave at a reasonable hour. We never wander to the end of the driveway. Because what would be the point? The world still needs people who wander, people who will wait, people who still believe without armor, without cynicism, without the well-rehearsed speech about why it probably won't work out. Don't let the world educate the wonder out of you. Don't let disappointment teach you to expect nothing so you're never surprised. That's not protection. That's a smaller life. In Lamentations 3, it says, because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They're new every morning, every single morning. Fresh wonder, fresh hope, fresh possibility. That's not a childish idea. That's a promise. So here's what I want to leave you with today. Think about the people you've put on a pedestal, the celebrities, the mentors, maybe even a person you loved. There's something in that impulse that's actually beautiful. It means you believed in greatness. But redirect that awe. Point it somewhere worthy of it. Think about the moments in your life, the ones that happened because you wandered, or stayed when everyone else left, or happened to be standing in exactly the right spot at the right time. Were those accidents, or were those steps already being established, just waiting for you to take them? Think about the last time you let yourself believe something wonderful without immediately talking yourself out of it. I can certainly relate to this and know how many times I've done that. Without the realistically, without the armor, without the wound running the show. That 9-year-old at the end of the driveway, she wasn't delusional. She was just available. Available for whatever the moment wanted to bring her. And I believe now, available for whatever God had already arranged. In their hearts, humans plan the course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Don't just make your plans. Take your steps. Wander a little. Stay when others leave. Keep your wonder. Guard your hope. And trust that the one who orders your path knows exactly where to place your feet. Thanks for being here with me today. If you can relate to this story, I would love to hear your version, your moment, the time you let yourself believe something wonderful and it actually happened. Send it to me. You can reach me at denisepettit.com, YouTube at Denise Pettit, or Instagram at Denise Pettit. Until next time, go wander to the end of the driveway. Thanks for joining me today on Life with Denise. I'm Denise. See you next time. Thank you for listening to Life with Denise, sharing inspiring conversations and heartfelt wisdom. Follow online at denisepettit.com, YouTube at Denise Pettit, Instagram at Denise Pettit. See you next time.